Thank you so much, Jess, and welcome everyone, especially those of you that have been hanging tough with us all day. It's been an unbelievably long and productive day of programming. I'm Sean Murphy. I'm the executive director of 1455, and I could not be more proud and excited about what we've already done, what we're about to do, and I'm here for one of my sessions I've been looking forward to the most. So I am absolutely delighted and honored to be here moderating this. I'm going to be brief and get out of the way so we can hear some amazing poetry. But to set the tone, this is our inspiration information panel, which debuted last year at our second annual festival. This year, we are featuring a variety of the best contemporary women poets who will read from their work. And if there's time permitting, we can talk a little bit about current projects and maybe even the contemporary poetry scene. But this is all about the poetry tonight. As always, for authentic insights, we can and should shun the talking heads and turn to those using creativity to speak their own truths while bearing witness for those otherwise silenced or unable to account for themselves. The most crucial currency of art is truth. And this session, featuring a variety of exceptional poets, will provide a necessary burst of insight and inspiration. Silence is never an option where justice is involved, and right now in America and around the world, some of the most important voices are the ones telling us what we must, and in some cases, may not want to hear. Be prepared to be enlightened and inspired. I'd like to personally thank each of these extraordinary artists for agreeing to be here tonight to share their words and wisdom. And a special shout out to my friend Monica Prince, a 1455 Summerfest veteran, for helping me brainstorm a working list of excellent poets to invite. I don't even want to pretend that I was cool enough to know or be able to invite these. So this was truly a community effort, and it really kind of caught fire. Monica and I brainstormed, she gave me some names, those people gave some names, and we ended up with a roster that, again, I'm want to say very little about other than reading their bios, because you're going to see, if you're not already aware, of how extraordinary these writers are. So we agreed democratically to go in alphabetical order. So what I'm going to do as the MC, I will read a bio and the poet will read for as long as they wish, and we will move down the line. So leading off tonight is Adrian Christian. She is a poet, writer, and fine art photographer. Her work has appeared in Prairie Schooner, Haydn's Ferry Review, Calyx, Phoebe, the Los Angeles Review, as the editor's choice, and dozens of journals and magazines. She's the author of 3 poetry collections: 12023 Woodmont Avenue, A Proper Lover, and Worn. She's a fellow of both Cave Canem and Cataloo writing residencies. In 2007, she won the University of Michigan's 5 Under 10 Young Alumni Award. In 2016, she was a finalist for the Rita Dove International Poetry Award. And in 2018, she won the James Gaffney Society of American Poets Outstanding Poetry Award. In 2021, she was nominated for a Pushcart Prize. I have read her work and I am dying to hear her read. Adrian, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you so much for having me, Sean, and thank you to all of you panelists for inviting me here. Monica, thank you for inviting me. Really appreciate it. So my name is Adrian Christian, as you know. Thank you all for coming. I write Black love stories, so what I'm going to read for you tonight are some love poems, 4 poems about my mother, 4 about ex-lovers, and 4 about my husband. And don't worry, they are rather short, so I won't go over my 10 minutes time. The first few are from my 2017 collection called A Proper Lover. It's about one woman's journey to find and become a proper lover in spite of what's been done to her. This first one is a poem about how girls learn their sexuality from their mothers. It's called Lipstick. Mornings in the mirror remind me of my mother in her panties, bra, slip, and a lipstick. How I'd sneak small sips of her tea to get some. To my mom, sexy hair equals a sexy woman. The two are intertwined. So this poem is called My Mother's Entire Belief System Told in Her Galloping Curls. Dance, make men want to touch you, be gorgeous, better thick than thin, curl up on pillows, smell delicious, be blue magic. Shine, goddammit, make women want you. Don't let women touch it, do it yourself. Be dark, shimmy walking, so folks comment about you. If no one's talking about you, you're dead. And don't ever stay put, don't you dare stay put. You wow, you excite. You be a hot oil treatment girl. And don't ever go to bed head wrapped in a goddamn gang scarf. Men wanna go to bed with music, not Tupac. Unfortunately, my mother would sometimes let her girlfriends use our basement to mess around on their husbands. And one time I had an experience when I was very much traumatized by that. So this one is called First Job. Sit on my front porch, look out across the street at Cynthia's porch, and tell her if her husband came home early. Easy. $1 they offered me in quarters. All summer long, Cynthia rendezvoused in my mother's basement. Mother taught me to be vigilant. She taught me to work smart. Even if one of your girlfriend comes, you have to stay here on the job. Okay, so that summer, me and lemon iced tea and Danny and the dinosaur on the porch. June, I sat, nothing. July, nothing. But August 1986, Fred came home early. His blue Cadillac with the turtle wax stuck to it. His wife in my basement stuck too. My mother fast asleep, I'm Victor Newman, and me flying down those basement stairs. I remember Mr. Isaac pulling out of Miss Cynthia, his thing, a Sunday meatloaf, her nipples, baby food jars. And this last one in this sequence of my beautiful mother poems is called Her Torn Half. I always knew when my daddy called to say he wasn't coming home. My mother would shout again and then demand to know how late. And then she'd resign herself to a humbler tone. I'll leave your dinner on the stove. She'd then stomp off to the kitchen, take a fistful of ice from the freezer, throw the ice cubes in a ceramic mug, and pour the wild turkey on top. She'd light one of mommy's special cigarettes before the previous one had burned and twirl her asphalt-colored hair around her slender index finger. She stared past me when I asked the matter. And yesterday, when you called to say you weren't coming home, I found my way to the kitchen, ripped open a sack of chips, fetched the bottle of gin from under the bed, took my seat there on the floor, and thought of my mother, her, a fraction of a woman, and me, her torn half. This next one, and now we're talking about love poems about exes. This next one is about nepotism, love, and a woman's reputation. Okay, it's called Love Making When You're Trying to Get a Book Deal. I love this poet turned publisher, but I can't slide down on his wood and ride because two ladies said do not. When you are seated at that table, child, let no one say you screwed yourself into that position. And I am not at the table yet, so we grind. He kisses me, he kisses mine. I tell him stop, we grind. He holds me, he hugs me, he's hung. He touches me where I tell him no, please quit it, and really I should leave, we grind. He says, please, I say, please stop. But it's so hard, a grown man begging me to do what we should. We grind. He pulls me onto his lap and I can hardly keep my face from it. But I must, and I will, till get yourself 2 books first, the ladies say. And they know because they're already where I'm trying to get to. So we grind. His blue top sheet in the lady's words, the only things keeping us from love. I write. He's got a million books he lends me. I write 1,000 poems I show him. He wants me at important parties, but I will not be seen out with this man who wants me. He wants us, and I want him, but I want books more. This next one is called September 19th. The man I love bought me nothing for my birthday. He says he has no money, though he smokes cigarettes, smokes weed, stops daily at Dunkin' Donuts, and has cable. He has no money. This next one is called Bread and Wine. The bread and the wine. I always reach for them when the man I've been baking for no longer wants my cakes. It's sad the way I stop running, weightlifting, drinking water when I get written off, the way I get drunk and round and call him and call him and call him when I know he's laughing at me. It's bad that bread is for life and that wine is for good times, but I take them and use them for filling the cupboards inside my lonely kitchen. And this last one in the ex-lover poems is called Insurance. And it's about the things that wives do to ensure that we don't misbehave too much. Okay, this one's called Insurance. I once knew a man who met me and liked me and Googled me and read everything on my blog, even bought the books I'd written I was reading, even looked up the epigrams in the epigrams authors' biographies. We meet at the only embassy suites with covered parking. It is the only time I've ever put my ring in my ashtray, the only time I've ever worn period panties. And these last 4 Black love poems will come from my latest collection, Worn. This is my 2021 collection. And I'll just read 4 poems here, husband poems. This is a collection actually about the role that clothing plays in love stories. And so I'll just read some about my husband here. And I think I'm doing okay on time, yes. Okay. My husband and I love to play Scrabble, and sometimes we play what we call love and sex Scrabble. And in that case, you only can use love and sex words. But the thing about it is that you can spell them phonetically. So spelling doesn't count. So long as we understand what you're saying, that word counts, all right? So this is called Blizzard 2014. Of course, Blizzard is spelled with Scrabble letters, BLZRD 2014. And it's set against the backdrop of, thank you. It's set against the backdrop of the East Coast blizzard in 2014. Okay, so this morning's blizzard spells cup of noodles in pajamas, playing love and sex words only Scrabble. My sweetheart in a robe, all that chest hair showing, thigh and calf muscles like trucks and socks, smoking his cigar. It's my own turquoise robe my sweets is wearing. I'd flung noodle juice on his robe when I'd caught his butt cheating, hiding Z's and a Q in the pockets. Plus I'd grown too warm with the fireplace heater and hot tea with whiskey and lemon. Anywho, here we are now, making love with little letters after having made love all morning. And I hope you guys can see, can you see that okay? Yeah, those were the words that we came up with. And he came up with wow me, show me, sexin', grin, ring, forever, glow, and good. So that is love making with Scrabble. This one is called, can I pause for a minute to wipe lipstick off my teeth? Is that acceptable? How about I do that? Sorry, I've been seeing it and I was like, I don't know how to stop and say something, but all righty. This one's called Portrait of My Jealous Husband, and it is a hustle. The couplet word is books, and it's a persona poem, so it is in the voice of my husband, okay? Portrait of my very jealous husband. No, what Adrian loves is books. For breakfast, it's tea, toast, watermelon, books. In her bathroom on the sink, on every space around the tub, is bubble baths, sugar, magazines, books. In her ponytail, 2 number 2s for marking books. On her face, on her breast, on her belly, in her little black dresses pockets, everywhere I look at my lady, books. Forget going to the mall trying to buy this woman anything other than the only thing she ever wants, books. Have an argument, lose. Whatever you think you know, nah. She already read the book on it. She already wrote the book on it. No seeing me pull up, rushing down to take my bag. She's in the window, yes, the window seat, hugged up with a book. I gotta wait on my mimosas and chicken and waffles on Sundays, belly howling. She's still in the bed with a goddamn book. Been traveling 2 weeks, come home, go lie down on my side of the bed, her dog and all her books. I've been busting through my boxers all night, try to touch her. She holds up a finger, almost done with this book. Dancing with him or my baby's back muscles. Have him hold you, and you'll never have another man hold you again. They will all be boys compared. Have him walk you to the dance floor, spin you once, then pull you close, whisper to you his cinnamon Altoids breath. What's he telling you? Girl, I'd fight a polar bear with fish in my pockets every night for you. Watch him grin at you like you're a pie, you're a paycheck. Have him rock you all night and still feel steady. This last one, thank you. I appreciate that applause. Thank you so much. This last one, thanks again for letting me read with you guys. This is really just an incredible honor to be here. This last one is also a hustle. It has 2 couplet words because I decided to get jiggy with it. One is called balls, like, a man's balls, and the other is smell. Okay, so this poem is called Ball Smell, and this is for my husband of 14 and a half years. Right? Girls, do you too love ball smell? Because I'm in love with my husband's ball smell. Here we are sitting on the sofa. I've got my head in his lap. He's got on nothing but his drawers, that ball smell. Thinking about it, I shudder like a feather on the ear. I love his cologne too, but I really love his ball smell. We're watching Harlem Nights or whatever, Friday nights. He's drinking Heineken. I'm drinking in that ball smell. These Boss black boxer briefs I stuffed in his stocking for Christmas. Right now, I'm about to stuff these giant balls in my mouth, teabag these awesome balls. I don't take off his drawers. I love these draws. I just pull them to the side, just enjoy these balls. Right now, he's trying to fuck, but all I want is this right now, I tell him. Pour some Heineken on him. Balls. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you, guys.
The bar has been raised.
Oh.
That was unbelievable. Thank you so much, Adrian. Wow. Well, I have no choice but to, with delight, keep the party going. So, next up, very, 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 very happy to be joined by Damaris B. Hill, PhD. She is the author of A Bound Woman is a Dangerous Thing, a searing and powerful narrative in verse that bears witness to American women of color burdened by incarceration. It was an Amazon #1 bestseller in African American poetry and a Publishers Weekly top 10 history title for the season. Her next book of poetry is Breath Better Spent, Living Black Girlhood, coming from Bloomsbury in January 2022. A scholar as well as writer, her other books are The Fluid Boundaries of Suffrage and Jim Crow, Staking Claims in the American Heartland, and the chapbook, Visible.
Textures.
Her work has appeared in African American Review, ESPNW, Southwestern, Sleep Magazine, American Studies Journal, Meridian, Shadowbox, Tidal Basin Review, Reverie, Tongues of the Ocean, Women in Judaism, and numerous anthologies. Damaris, thank you so much for being here. I can't wait to hear you.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited to be on this panel and hang out with these awesome poets and women. I'm gonna read some things from the new collection, Breath Better Spent. I'm gonna be adventurous because I was inspired by Adrian. So I don't have any poems about balls, but I am gonna read some poems. So I'm not gonna tell you what this poem is about, but all of you will know. And those who don't know will catch on. This poem is entitled Hotter Than July. You sit on 2 clouds of bees. Honey storms in place of your hips. Your waist is an unripe watermelon, a tense and tight drum. You carry daisies for breasts with dandelion eyes. Summer is skipping away. Every radio humming static. Electric is July. Hotter than we remember, which is why you pray for her return. Carrying sweet onions in the hot grease of your armpits, salt and soda crackers in the creases of your neck. July is the 7-Eleven of your childhood, fluorescent. Your jelly sandals are neon, your panties are washboard and starch white, snapping hand game rhythms with your belly button. The driveway is your playground, littered with Christy dolls and cordless curlers. In the attic, you play with your vanity. You pretend it is a crib. You skip circles around a stool, sit on top of it, blue magic hair glue on the back of wrist. You pick at a face mirror. You blow on it to reveal the musings of your mustache. You karate kick an ankle into the air, flash freeze. You tiptoe, balance between chipped toenail polish and your need for October. Middle school is a distant dinner guest. It is July and you are still a girl. You wrestle back the pink folds of your body, cuss God for holding the woman in you for ransom. You beg for the blood. You want it, rushing, shiny, thick and lush like your hair, enough to uppercut yourself in the tongue, blood enough to inspire envy. You want it lava hot and licorice sweet. You want the boys to tell you that you smell like rusting quarters. Rumor has it that a girl's first blood is chocolate. You want it enough to chew Big Red while chomping on Cocoa Puffs and Pop Rocks. You want blood enough to make friends with the witches among the ordinary women. You run relays to the store for these hussies. They drink ice cold Pepsi without staining their laundry, always hanging their rusty drawers dashed between the sheets. Yay for period poems. Yay for little girls that want their period. Yay. I was the only one? Oh, okay. I really wanted it. So I have some love poems in here, kind of love poems. So I have no idea what my time is. Let me try this again. Okay. So this is a kind of love poem, and then I guess I'll end with the history poem. So this poem is called Still Scary. Afraid of bugs, babies, pop balloons, sticky peppermints, cracks that will break your mother's back, words that sound like windows breaking. Your heart is too fragile. Fright over voices that are pretty enough to ride rafters, lyrics that climb on ladders, afraid that a piano chord is a stairway. You scared of spiders and the old saints frying chicken in church basements, smacking on bacon with crackling rinds in the pews. You timid about every boy you ever adored and never told. You hiding from happy. You terrified of joy. Them two got heartbreak on the horizons. Infatuation is an affliction, like bed bugs creeping in, like seventh grade, 35 years later. You squinting and giddy, you drooling at the luster and past lives in his shaved head. You ain't never got good sense. You ain't never know the difference between curiosity and chaos. He got you cheesing. Each of his cavities carry a cavern of stories you want to know. You tell him to gift wrap his wounds, serve them to you on a broken plate. This is a trap, an illusion, a way to convince him that you are brave. Watch him, watch you, gulp all his demons and everything that scares him. You are a woman and have done it all before. When you are 8, you will follow a pack of boys into the woods to find a vine. These boys are swinging Tarzan, banging their caged hearts, tempting violent deaths. You celebrate each boy's victory faithfully. You forget your ride across the wild. Your eyes closed, your heart open and abandoned. You didn't fall or break an arm. You didn't take a second turn. You refused to ride in the back of wagons. Every page carries wood, paper cuts, and toe prints, marking the spot you gripped before the jump. So I have no idea how much time I have left. Okay, let's deal with that.
Tons. Take your time.
Okay. So this is a longer poem. And this is a poem for Harriet Jacobs, but it's entitled Beloved Weirdo. You are not digging this book about a slave girl and her incidents. The pages read about her early knowing of all things. Meanwhile, you know you ain't got a stitch of sense. If you did, you would have put that book down and hit that boy, asking you if your name is beloved and if you're going to be like Setha and kill the newborn baby he wants to put in you. Is he the weirdo watching in on you and your bestie leaving the woman's clinic? You wish you would have gone wild as the wind on him for prying. Instead, you go deaf and dumb thinking on it. Your mind wanders into a book. You think on asking Miss Harriet Jacobs, how does a girl learn to be a slave? Does a snake bite you and leak venom until you fall crippled and spasm, zombie you into a slave? If no, then you gotta swallow a butterfly and let it flutter in your throat, smother your words until you become a slave. Do you let the butterfly kick you way up into the tonsils? This might make your eyes rummage the floors for cracks and force you to be humble. Can a slave be made from a butterfly that avoids windows, avoids light? Does that butterfly become a bat under a girl's collar? Or do you crawl under the hoof of a horse named Andrew Jackson to become a slave? The horse galloping and neighing at your earlobes, dirt in with the blood pouring from you. To be a slave, would you have to take your ribs and fashion Andrew Jackson's hooves with ivory shoes? Would the overseers use your teeth to tether, hold Andrew Jackson's shoes in like nails? In the cradle of your black ringing neck, do you offer the nag a pedestal and curtsy at the mare's master? Just curious, not dying to know. That's all. Thank you.
Holy shit. Woo! Thank you so much. Wow. I'm already drunk with joy, so I'm just gonna soak it in. I'm so happy.
Thanks.
Okay, going alphabetically. Next up is LP Kersey. She is a Southern gal turned DMV resident, community activist, avid runner, avid reader, comic book lover, and mother of 4 creative free spirits. She's currently vice president of Prince George's County chapter of Maryland Writers Association and chair of community outreach and engagement, story and submissions editor for Afrocentric Books - Mugwump Press, founding editor at Obsidian Pen Publishing LLC, and host curator of the Literary Cipher monthly reading series. In addition, she serves her community as a natural birth and breastfeeding advocate, an IDI certified birth postpartum doula and CBC, and has written several heartfelt pieces on loss, maternal mortality in the US, and holistic birthing methods to empower at-risk mothers of color. Her work has appeared in Motherwell magazine, And I Thought, Queen Mother magazine, Kaleidoscope, Artemis, and others. Currently, she's working on her first poetry chapbook and trying not to lose her mind while semi-stuck at home with 4 children. LP, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Y'all, it is an honor to be sharing this platform with all of you. I follow your work for some time and I am a fan. So it is a great honor to be here. I don't know if everyone is aware, but a few weeks ago, we lost a great giant in the literary community, our beloved Venus Thrash. So this first poem I wrote a couple weeks ago, it's a little emotional. I debated on whether I wanted to read it because I was like, I don't want to cry, but I want to read it anyway. This is my first time reading since her transition. So I'm going to start with that, okay? Called Venus. I fangirled hard, grinning from ear to ear, so hard my face hurt. I should have been embarrassed, but it was you, so I had no shame. The throw caution to the wind card is reserved for moments like when I met you. Our beloved word artist, Picasso with the pen, you created memories, heated longings, emboldened eyes, and empowered lips with just the sound of your voice. Satiny, smooth, and soothing, I let it wrap around my troubles and cloak them against a what could be background. That voice, your voice, soft enough to lull a weary soul to rest, powerful enough to make time stand still. You said you'd had a shitty day, and mine was just as bad. So we shared expensive pizza, South African rosé, and flirty smiles. Burdens drifted away in your presence, even when you bore your own. There was an ancestral spark in your eyes, and the earth shifted beneath my feet each time you flashed that sideways, dimpled smile, saying something that teeter-tottered between slick and profound. We bonded over heartbreak, our love for things that only country girls could appreciate. Motherhood, complicated intimacy, and existing as free spirits with obligations. You had me at the first stanza, and I left with the warmth of your touch still on my skin, wishing for more. Maybe in another time there would have been. But that night I saw you, and you saw me. To feel seen by a giant grants empowerment like nothing else can. I walked taller. I wrote without apprehension, read without fear, because you saw me. I stretched out, taking up more space, revisiting my former self, asking her out to tea, to dinner, to brunch. I began answering no with a smile and yes with credence, then demanded more of the universe because you said I could. You said I should, and I believed you. Anything spoken by Venus must be right as rain, but now you're gone. Gone to take your place among the stars, among the ancestral ranks. I never got to tell you. I never got to show you. I never got to read to you. I never got to thank you. I have a feeling you know. But just because, as we discussed, the final word matters, thank you, Venus. That one I got through without crying. Okay. All right, this next one's called Fed Up. I wrote this one during the pandemic. This was another, I write out of emotion. If I'm happy, I write. If I'm sad, I write. If I'm, whatever's going on, I either eat, write, or read, or all three. So this one was written last year during the pandemic. This is my first time reading. I figured I'd read something new. It's called Fed Up. How tiring it is to be tired of being tired. tired of bitching, tired of moaning, groaning, complaining, tired of nagging, tired of wanting, waiting, restraining, tired of being over it, fed up. The endless list of undones, didn't do, shoulda, coulda, wouldas, the I forgots, I lost track of times, and the notorious, I thought you meant something else, fed up with the disappointments, broken promises of forever, fed up with my happy ending fairy tale being snapped back to a harsh reality of crash landings in the land of loves left behind, where compassion is abandoned and us is neglected. Fed up from forced daily feedings of bullshit, pushing it down, though I'm full and I've had more than enough. Choking on what remains, gulping it to save face, to save peace, to save time, to save feelings. It goes down like Mad Dog 2020 and Thunderbird, like taking a bullet. Harsh and unkind, spit it out. Refuse another bite. I'm literally gagging on being fed up. Being fed up can kill you. Death by resentment, death by rage, death by being fed up. Fed up because trying to breathe under siege is overwhelming. Fed up from stumbling, then falling, nothing and no one to catch because neglect. There's never a clear path. All you see is the clutter, the damage, the struggle, the reminder. I'm not built for this. Or maybe I am. I just don't want it. Emotional baggage, weighing a ton. The countdown begins and the expiration date approaches. Marked on the calendar, circled in red so I don't forget the day it all ends. The day that fed up becomes goodbye. Let me see. Okay, I got two more. This one, as we said, I am a Southern girl. I'm from North Carolina, and it is called Southern Gal. Down home, down in the dirty South, former plantations, tobacco fields, down dirt roads lined with magnolia trees, the smell of honeysuckles, red clay and pine, abandoned dirt-packed floor shacks in the backwoods where my ancestors laid their weary heads, visions of freedom up north, keep the hope alive to survive another day. In the heat of a relentless sun, faces turned up toward the promise of heaven, cotton white clouds against rapture blue skies, sweat against their brows, oppressive whips on their backs. Down home, down south, the birth of a nation, the birth of trap music, slow and lazy drawled greetings, geechee tongues chopping up words and mashing new ones together like creamed corn or boiled potatoes and butter. Southern hospitality, friendly hey y'alls, invitations to gatherings of shared meals and storytelling over amber-colored sweet tea, golden fried chicken soul, chitlins, pig feet for the unbothered. That hog been good to us Black folk. Who said they don't eat pork? Grandma would say. Don't come back from college vegetarian. We eat all things down here. In the spirit of hoe cakes with candied yams, fried okra, and chow top collard greens with fat, making backside so fat you can see them from the front. Wait till you see it from the back. Thick, I'm somebody mama hips. They wind and rock and back up on anxious crotches. Pistol toting, shotgun shooting, axe throwing country gal, drinking Southern Comfort, Paul Masson, Jack Daniels, and E&J. We like our liquor dark, like we like our past. Spitting sunflower seeds off the porch with precision, walking barefoot over dusted parking lot lawns to the mailbox, skin glistening in the southern sun, hot like Texas Pete hot sauce on catfish fritters, hot like summer 97 dressed in Daisy Dukes with wife beaters and Carolina blue Nikes, freshman year on the yard at Florida A&M, hot like red bones with red hair, red nails, and red lips, talking shit, hot like standing on the corner by the stop sign 2 blocks from hell, hot like Deacon Brown's Cadillac DeVille in July with the windows up while the temp goes up, hot, a forever layer of moisture covering all skin, saturating all clothing, making it sticky. Everyone is hot and sweaty and sexy, baking in the humidity like sweet dumplings. Down here, all skin folk are somebody's cousin, and all kinfolk know blood is thicker than water. Mama names, daddy names, grandma names. We all know them. We'll see them at church, then at grandma's house afterwards for Sunday dinner. We'll pray together, break bread together, argue, then eat some more, pray some more. That's what family is for. We got to stick together. Being Black is hard enough. It's even harder down south. The South doesn't forget. It holds fast to the ways of old, antiquated and outdated, stubborn like the kazoo that spreads across the unoccupied and unclaimed, out of control, doing what it wants, disregarding the world around it, offending its neighbors to the north, guiding the neighbors to the west, but resilient, bold, and beautiful, anchored and ancient as the roots of the angel oak tree, stretching further than obvious, reaching far and wide, whispering words of wooded wisdom, ancestral voices, beckoning its children to come home down south. Let me see. I think I got one more. Let me find it. Okay. This one is kind of a praise poem. It's inspired by one of the panelists from earlier today. Actually, I didn't know she was going to be up here. Terry Ellen Cross Davis. She wrote a collection of poetry that was just released, I think, February, called More Perfect Union. And she has a whole lot of goddess poems in it. So this one is inspired by Miss Terry. Shout out Terry if you're out there. And it's called The Goddess of She, Her, Hers. This poem be about the goddess I am, the goddess that is she. From the guttural trenches of her womb, spit, pushed, pulled, dragged, emerging from herself, birthing a new herself, warm, pure soul, clothed in soft skin, unaware of how precarious this life can be, even as she rested in sweet innocence. The dark clouds of patriarchy loom, ominously peeking into the cradle, ready to consume, devalue, depreciate, exploit, objectify, and drown out her light. But I teach, and she is a fast learner. I instructed her early on how to harden every soft line, turning every delicate contour to jagged fierceness. As she sat on church pews, short legs swinging in angst, soaking up expectations of how to be a good church girl, a good godly woman, I whispered sweet and some things of who God is, in hopes that one day she'd come to know herself. Growing into rejection of knowing her place and staying there in ladylikeness, I trained her to curse it all. We don't succumb, we become whatever we want. We, she, constant and enduring as an evergreen. I have always been here, baby girl, sis, fueling the consciousness of her, the collective divine feminine. For the she called tomboy after getting those patent leather Mary Jane's dusty, sweating out her freshly hot comb straightened hair, running with those boys, wrinkling the frills of her new dress, and skinning those cocoa buttered knees on church parking lot gravel. Who would rather wear Jordans and oversized hoodies than heels and skirts? Those same boys she played with as a child called her a dyke because she could hoop better than them. She refused to date them and she refused to fuck them. They vowed to make her straight because, of course, male ego. Why would a girl want another girl when she can have a man? But I gave her the power to want who she wants. For the she called whore, hoe, slut, Jezebel, hussy, tramp, because she does like skirts and men. Her passion unbridled, unsheathed lust and desire, they assume she's easy and giving up the goods when in fact she's taking them. Unfair perceptions of who she is, who she does, and why. It's no one's business, but as a woman calling her own shots, it becomes everyone's business. For the she who rejects tradition, the notion that she is incomplete without husband or offspring in that order, because, you know, the Bible. They call her broken. For the she existing outside herself, they call complicated. The bitter she, the angry she, the she they push too far, sometimes not enough, the dream deferred she, because life hits differently when you're female and even harder when you're Black. For the she who was brutally stunned in the silence, only a muted no, escaping her lips, now ashamed and blamed for her own assault, left to pick up the pieces of herself like shattered glass and put herself back together. I would carry the load for her, but I taught her how to sling that baggage over her shoulder. I trained her in tactical combat on battlefield Earth in a society that does not honor her, but thrives on her ability to exist under the weight of its greed and negligence and misogyny. She knows how to rage, so she's called unstable, but the right amount of crazy warrants respect. and a clear path to walk through the shadowy valleys unscathed, as I've taught her, steadily in spike stilettos with a magic stride, unwavering and fearless, over the threshold of spaces not intended for her, the envy of men, the welcome mat she wipes her feet upon. For crazy she who takes up all the space in the room, claims ownership of every molecule for herself and every she behind her. For she who doesn't play nice and with dagger sharp wit bursts every bubble, speaks out of turn because it's always her turn, then helps herself to the seat at the head of the table without invitation, where all she's belong. She who heeds the ancestral tug at the base of her soul, who truly sees herself in the mirror and falls in love. She who was once afraid of the dark, but became one with it, accepting her shadow and harnessing its power. She gives life, she is light, she shines everywhere and anywhere, regardless, in spite of, because of. Cosmic power is hard to dim. It radiates from her pores. She literally glows, tossing her head to and fro, zigzagging her neck for emphasis. She tells the world to piss off when it tests her. I see me in her light, her prideful smirk, her empowered gaze, chest out, chin high as the sunset, eyes fixed. I taught her to heal herself, create that which she desires, and manifest my energy, the goddess energy. She practices with every passing challenge of her survival. Every act of defiance is survival. Self-preservation, rebellion, resistance is survival, and survival itself is revolutionary. She, her, is revolutionary. Thank y'all.
Whoa. Folks, some poems are getting read tonight. That's really all I have to say. I'll also say this is not an unintentional scheduling, that there's nothing following this session because nothing could follow this session. So once again, I thank all of you for bringing your brilliance out tonight. Let's keep the party going. The aforementioned troublemaker dash kindred spirit partner in crime, Monica Prince, who once again, I thank for her guidance and wisdom and generosity. I talk a lot at 1455 very genuinely about building community, believing in community, and how within the literary industry, we need to lift each other up because no one else is going to do it. But Monica, as much as anyone I know, epitomizes being a great literary citizen. So it's a tremendous honor to have her elevating 1455's proceedings. And I will introduce her with respect. Monica teaches activist and performance writing at Susquehanna University in Pennsylvania. She's the author of How to Exterminate Black Women, a choreo poem, Instructions for Temporary Survival, and Letters from the Other Woman. She's the managing editor of the Santa Fe Writers Project Quarterly and the co-author of the suffrage play, A Pageant of Agitating Women, with Anna Andes. Her work appears in The Rumpus, Tramp Set, Artemis, the Texas Review, Madcap Review, American Poetry Journal, and elsewhere. You can follow her on her website, www.monicaprince.com. Monica, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Sean. Hi, everybody. I'm so glad to be in this room with you all. You're all powerhouses. I'm so glad to be here. Oh, this is so amazing. Okay. I'm going to read a bunch of new shit because I'm a slam poet, so we read new shit. It's what we do. So I'm going to read some poems about polyamory because I'm polyamorous, and it's my 2-year anniversary with my longest running partner. So we're like, we're living our best lives. But of course, I'm going to read the poems that talk about how polyamory is not perfect and not the solution to difficult relationships. So let's do this. A lot of these poems talk to each other. So this poem was written on the first day of National Poetry Month in 2020, when we were all locked in our houses. This is called Upon Kissing Your Lover Goodbye Before a First Date. The man you love leaves the house you share to press his face against another woman's cunt, and you are not jealous. While he's gone, you shower, mop the kitchen, open every window to air out winter. The cat witnesses your silence, though gospel music shakes the sills. As the man you love draws consent from this other woman 2 boroughs away, you change the sheets, rearrange the bookshelves, sniff the spices for freshness. You are not jealous, not now. He kisses the other woman, squeezes her ass, undresses her in the bed she shares with her fiance, and you count pills, fold laundry, masturbate until your fingers prune. At this moment, though you assume you cannot prove he's giving her orgasms, using all the skills he's honed with you on her, or wearing a condom. You're not jealous because you don't know what he's doing. While the dishwasher stutters, the oven timer goes off, and you run out of soap. It's a waiting game of insecurity. Will he return less in love after tasting another woman's wet? Prefer her to you? Eventually choose monogamy after this alleged freedom turns toxic? You do not know. When he finally comes home to a house nearly suffocatingly clean, you won't kiss him until he's showered, brushed his teeth twice, put his clothes in the washer. We're in a pandemic after all. The cannon of jealousy fires into your heart over dinner, the realization that being polyamorous does not save you from pits in your stomach when your lover finds another. All right. So then, a year later, April 1st, 2021, I wrote a response to that poem. It's called My Boyfriend Fucks His Girlfriend on Their Anniversary. On their anniversary, I write poems for my boyfriend and his girlfriend because the dishwasher is finished, but still full. The dryer stopped hours ago. Last night's wine bottle sits unrecycled on the counter. I walk the house we do not share, but share together, pick his socks from between the couch cushions, unplug his charger by the nightstand, refill the water pitcher, trying out compersion as action, replacing impulsive jealousy with comfort. I leave them alone today to celebrate 1 year fucking, treating one another like consolation prizes, saying I love you because I respect, appreciate, and lust after you takes too long. I'm cleaning windows, wiping down baseboards and mirrors, removing batteries from the smoke detectors, avoiding images of sex and mistreatment, the ongoing betrayal of loving a Black man who loves a white woman. I fast all day, vacuum every room, burn sage, recite affirmations. I don't know what I expected. My mother never loved my father, and I wasn't supposed to know that. So what map do I have for this type of love if everything before was all presentation, facade of stability amidst chaos? They say forgiveness is not for the perpetrator of violence, but for the survivor of said action, something, drinking poison, something. And there's nothing to drink in this house now, sober as a judge, empty to allow new energy in. I run out of sage, start burning anything I can find to clear out the envy, the anger, the depression, call it what it is, loneliness. A whole house filled with smoke, no visibility, no accountability, no one here to open the windows, promise me my metamor is not Carolyn Bryant, that my boyfriend shouldn't fear his white girlfriend, that even veteran polyamorous struggle. I inhale toxic fumes, the oven on now, every light bulb filled with gasoline, one switch to take the whole thing down. Will that show him? Will that break her spell? Read happy poly poems. So my partner has a habit every time I ask him if he's hungry, which is like the only question you ask in a pandemic is just, what do you want to eat? And you ask it like 19 times a day. And so he got into the habit of every time I'd ask if he's hungry, he'd say, for that ass. And I'd just roll my eyes and I can't stand him. So this is a poem in response to that. I ask my lover if he's hungry and he says, for that ass, for the 130th time in a year. Though it requires extra attention to detail, we always fuck in the kitchen. I come home already unsnapping my bra before my key hits the deadbolt, the zipper on my skirt halfway down as the door closes behind me. This is about stress. A workday finally over, but you cannot help yourself. The first vision of me since breakfast, too overwhelming, when in my rush to leave on time, I left my panties in the drying rack. You appear like the cat at her food bowl when the can opener starts crunching, pawing at me to keep my heels on, not even bothering to let me drop purse, phone, keys. Who cares what falls, what breaks? Everything but us can be replaced. Too many hours stolen from us. Capitalism demanding all work, never play, no respite for happy endings swallowed under the dining table. Dinner delayed another hour for all this heavy petting, tongues dragged across pulsing skin, mise en place redefined. Forget the vegetables, put me in my place. Submissive and shivering, the knife too slippery to hold now. How we ever feed ourselves from this room that demands I bend over, you enter, I scream, you grunt, eyes more acquainted with the backs of our skulls than our own tender faces. I don't know. It's getting impossible to imagine food when your dick is so appetizing. My pussy juice a quench for every thirst. Don't hand me a napkin to clean up. When we're done, I prefer to air dry on the cold linoleum, legs open and glistening, a forever invitation to sip, sup, and savor. All right, I got two more. They're both about sex, so just like let it happen, it's fine. So this is a recent one. This was during National Poetry Month, which I imagine you remember what day this was. The day Derek Chauvin is found guilty, my partner and I make love. Sex magic requires intention. For us, also planning. Sometimes the effort of being alive interferes in the effort of love, of passionate makeout sessions, of lube smeared over everything. Choose pleasure instead of domination tonight. No dirty names or reddened ass cheeks. We're almost silent, changing positions in the late evening, sun gone, moon hiding. We don't come together, but we're both careful with our hands, our teeth. No hickeys, no choking tonight. And the last one. I keep reading this poem and I probably should stop, but it makes me very happy. So I'm gonna keep reading this poem at every event till I probably die because it makes me very happy. This is called Kitchen. LP knows this poem. I read it a couple weeks ago. Kitchen. Don't ask why so many of my poems about our love take place in the kitchen, why I put a speaker in there but not a plant. The answer is obvious, uninteresting. Linoleum is easier to clean. Yes, we cook together. You at the cutting board, multiplying servings, me at the sink, cleansing your tools to protect our future selves, sated, the rhythm of satisfaction pulsing between us, the itis pushing us out of the kitchen onto the couch. It's easier to clean the fallen food scraps, water from refilled ice trays, a jagged orgasm shuddered out of me while the rice simmers. Sometimes I read and you cook. Sometimes I cook and you whisper all the ways you dance with me into oblivion, our bodies on repeat as 10 galaxies pass us by. When I think of love, I imagine you sweeping the floor before you leave me, entering the back door all flourish and fabulous, late but exuberant, smile infectious and all for me. When I think of love, I think of smuggling our desire for more from the kitchen to the bedroom, unleashing libido like a volcano, the comfort of cotton sheets superior to cold linoleum or leather-backed chairs. When I think of love, I think of my tea already made, breakfast on the stove, your tarot cards divining across the dining table, a good morning singing across your lips, meaning I love you, meaning we made it, meaning I've suspended our grief long enough for this meal. Yes, I construct a kitchen when I think of love, creator reimagined as cook, as lover, as lifetime. Thanks, y'all.
Monica never disappoints. Thank you. Always. Need to, whew. Okay. Moving right along. Shayla Sabri is the director of the Statler Center for Poetry and Literary Arts and an assistant professor at Bucknell University. She is the author of Field Study, winner of the 2020 James Laughlin Award, and Mistress, which was nominated for an NAACP Image Award. Her work recently appeared in Dr. Ibram X. Kendi and Dr. Keisha N. Blaine's 400 Souls, A Community History of African America, 1619 to 2019. Shayla, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Sean, and thank you everyone who's read so far. I usually hate going this late in a reading, mostly because I'm so anxious I can't focus. Today, however, it's like I was sucked in by everything that everyone did, and I completely changed what I'm going to read based on what you all have read today. So thank you so much for the firework that you all are doing. I'm going to read from my book Field Study, which just came out in June. It is a series of, I don't actually know how to describe it. Honestly, truly, I keep trying to come up with language for it. It's little prose blocks that look like this. It's a book length work. So I'll read the opening and then I'll read from somewhere that's close to the opening. And it is inspired by the fierce, intense beauty that you all shared today. I guess the only thing that you need to know is that the collection more or less looks at how one Black woman found herself in a relationship with a white man and the fallout of that relationship. So I'll read from the very beginning and then jump forward a little bit. Field Study. I'm not good at small talk. At a former colleague's dinner party, I was talking about life, about desire, about this, and how I've basically been single for 5 years. This feels like an overshare, now and then. Someone tells me this is the beginning. Field research is the collection of observational information. Approaches vary across disciplines. This field is my brain's backlog of books and a lot of bedrooms. This field has maps made of men, of finger pads, of scrotal sacs, my muscles a moleskin. Analysis trapped between my split nails, their skin cells. Politics of respectability or respectability politics. Assimilation, concession to the mainstream, policing that supports standard American English. Is my fight against the mad Black woman in me a function of said respectability? Everyone hates a Black woman. It's hyperbolic, but it isn't. Women of color in America have grown up within a symphony of anger at being silenced, at being unchosen, at knowing that when we survive, it is in spite of a world that hates our very existence outside of its service. Ultra Lord. I have sat at a lot of different tables, have learned that I'm pretty code switch enabled. In a bar in a white liberal loving city, a white woman moved my body to position hers against a railing. I'm too tall to stand center, she whispered, making me small. In the same city, in the same week, a white woman spat wine on me. I was choking, she barked, without apology. To me, these aren't microscopices. I've felt like society's eraser shards, bits used to fix other people's shit, then discarded. Somehow still wet nurse from actual babes to Alabama special election saves. Quote, my secret, I'm always angry. Bruce Banner. And why wouldn't I be? My friends call me Captain Save a Ho, but here I'm not trying to save anyone, except maybe me. Daughter of a hot comb, I oscillate between flat and fro. This prompts people's opinions. Straight, assimilant, curls, political. No reality of versatility, everything a statement. The same extends to the penis I frequent. Stylists have said my hair's kind of coarse. My contralto is easily hoarse. My small pear shape has thigh riding high. It looks like my ass, it reaches around the side. In these things I take pride. And in August, I risk burn to augment myself a sweeter color. I've wondered about being too tart if I'd be a disappointment to some of my ancestors. When the field's a bar, I take note of what I've chosen to wear, of my style of hair. When you met me, my hair was straight, bob clipped. The last time we kissed, I was rocking 2-strand twists. When the field's a bed, most men don't give a damn about respectability. I know a porno when I feel one. Pump, pump, flip. When the field's a bed, I care about the girth of his finger, not what color it is. I want to be palm raw and hip bones sore. I want it on the bed, on the floor, in the back of my '02 Honda Accord. I want his fingertips to smooth over me slowly, fingerprint and follicle in holy union. I remember the serrated edge of breath and junt of your jaw when I heavy panted over a fresh licked earlobe. I shouldn't say these things. This, I know. I was raised by good church-going people. Quote, in the context of American slavery, antebellum Southerners accepted the image of the sexually insatiable enslaved woman, thereby characterizing all white men as victims of sepia temptresses. Cheryl D. Hicks. I can see why I should distance myself from this legacy. Note, even in this retelling of history, the women are light-skinned. I worry my family will be embarrassed for and or of me, that they'll be ashamed of the things that I'm saying, but I fear silence like crustacean-crushing mandibles of the deep. Quote, Black women fashioned a protective silence so successfully that Black women eventually lost the ability to articulate any conception of their sexuality. Cheryl D. Hicks. I don't know if monsters are born or made. I refuse to be made monster of circumstances. I want to do things differently. Night blooming jasmine, downward facing trumpet of a tiger lily. Quote, I mean, nothing makes me feel more powerful than when a white dude eats my pussy. Ali Wong. You called it a car accident when my thighs collapsed together in pleasure. Was I the most beautiful wreck you'd ever been in? Thank you.
Is it just me or is it getting hot in here? Amazing. Thank you, Shayla. Wow. Wow. Whew. All right, I have no choice but just keep it going. I don't want to even say anything. Okay, next up, Crystal Mae Statler. She is in the house. Yes, yes. She is a Black multiracial artist living in Los Angeles and received her MFA from Otis College of Art and Design. She's a co-founding editor for Every Other, a Los Angeles-based collective that publishes literary broadsides by writers from around the world. Her painting, Trigger Fingers 2019, was featured in the BLMLA X Museum of Social Justice exhibit, New Black City, A World Without Police, in May 2021. Her poems are featured in the Santa Fe Writers Project Quarterly, Cultural Weekly, and her debut Poetic Visual Hybrid is a finalist for the 2021 CAP Book Prize. She invites all to experience more of her art at crystalmaystatler.com. Crystal Mae, thank you for being here so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here and reading. And I am very blown away by all the magic tonight. So I hope that I can live up to the hype. And thank you, Sean and 1455 for this incredible festival. It's really, really meaningful to have this space and be here. Okay, so I'm going to read 2 poems. Okay. Control. On April 1st, 2019, at 9:48 a.m., the LA County Medical Examiner Coroner reports online case number 2019-02451. The homicide of 30-year-old Black male, Brian Leslie Statler Jr., caused by a gunshot wound of the head. On April 1st, 2019, sometime after 11 a.m., searching case number 2019-02451 yields 0 results and has been inaccessible since. Because there is no tape, because Inglewood officers don't wear body cams, because it happened at the Church of Scientology. The unnamed officers who killed him are freely employed. Police reports, coroner reports, evidence, statements are conveniently on hold for their investigation, leaving his family with nothing other than the certainty that he is dead. On the Sunday after his murder, I met with detectives Michael Hahn and Cesar Gerardo, who forgot to give their condolences as I sat in the interrogation room, instead immediately questioning BJ's childhood, relationship with our parents, drug use, arrest history, mental health, intentions of being at the church, as if any of the above could justify two of their officers killing him. When it becomes my time to ask questions, I am muted before I can finish. Did he make it to the hot? We can't divulge that information. Why did they shoot him in the head? We can't divulge that information. Why wasn't his family notified the day he was killed? We can't divulge that information. But how? We can't divulge that information. Who were the? We can't divulge that information. Later that same week, his body was released for cremation. But his Bentley, his belongings, the truth, remained locked in their control, still treating him like a criminal, forcing what's left of him that they've tried to erase to be a prisoner in their system yet again because he existed. Okay, thank you. Okay, so this second poem, it's really important to me that I show you instead of you see my face. So I'm going to stop my video and show the picture that is in my Zoom profile. So here we go. To the slow burn, after Ross gaze to the fig tree on 9th and Christian. Weathering each day in the city that took away the one person I couldn't know would be the person who told the truth. Yes, I do get everything. Things like books or clothes, but mostly time and breath. The sounds of sirens echo like the crows hunting above. They wait until their prey relax, believing they're safe under a dangerous sun, hoping to have another day to live, but don't. And clouds blanket bodies. Then a body burns, in time or by fire, or both without cause. The remnants become other, new seeds for harvest. Who's left now lies about survival, when we don't know if the moment the bullet catches dura mater in a brain is when the soul escapes a body, bursting in the air, and hears me crying, "Come back home, big brother. Please come." But the new seeds, shaped like daughters, grow despite hail pellets in June, or permanent absence without redemption. And I was without a dad too, so maybe the ocean will be enough to swallow God's plan and eddy grief with sand into a reason for living. In a home where vaulted ceilings make more space for ghosts, and a window that suctions cobweb silk for what remains of life's cycle and lonely autonomy. Then maybe rain will come, sprinkle or shower, refreshing the drought so flowers can rest, like an honest rage after he was unarmed. And knowing the how of murder only changes the knowing bad things happen that don't make sense, and someone is still dead. The murderer wakes, breathing in another chance to take the day's heat, lingering in this city of champions, rubbing his hand under a leaking faucet with pockets of smoke still drifting from his gun's chamber 2.5 years later. While I offer my body to the waves, wondering if I'll understand what it's like to be swallowed too, rather than hold ashes of a smile split between 4 boxes, and another man disappeared. Like earthquakes do when they rupture our presence to be present. Then they're forgotten because it wasn't the big one this time. So we return to our everydayness without questioning the night, since daylight will come. It always comes, to give us oxygen, but doesn't hear our suffering to stay cool, or to slow the burning of this earth we've taken advantage of with greed and desire. Over and over and over, the reaping repeats itself, which everyone knows is a part of living. So being innocent or ill or peppered with demons means we're still worthy of breathing and looking to the stars or the rocks or in the eyes of an old photograph and hold the future, because it held a moment when everything wasn't a thing, but a who, with arms to hug back, playing in cold winds where laughter froze as children at grandma's house in the Tehachapi Mountains, where we'd eat snow with no inkling. The crystals melting on our tongues would mimic the vaporizing he'd undergo at 30, swallowed by this city, shortly after his head rested on ice and felt my last kiss. Thank you. Thank you.
Crystal, thank you so much. I feel like a moment of silence is appropriate, not only for those beautiful words, but for all of us to recognize that, you know, poems are never enough, but for some of us, it's the best we can do. And I'm inspired and heartened that these voices bearing witness are trying to make the world more just and better, and I'm grateful for them. Okay. Last and far from least, Calista Ray Thompson, who chose to go last. So congratulations for the bravery. Calista is a poet and journalist in Durham, North Carolina, that speaks with furious rebellion. She's the author of the debut collection Ghost in a Black Girl's Throat from Red Hen Press. Her essays are featured in Autostraddle, Catapult, Lit Hub, as well as articles in Bitch Media, NBC BLK, and others. Her poetry appears in Frontier Poetry, Florida Review, Rust and Moth, Pank, Hellbore, Sundog Lit, Hobart, among countless others. She's the winner of the Bright Wings Poetry Contest, the Furious Flower Gwendolyn Brooks Poetry Prize, and the White Stag Publishing Contest, among other prizes. Currently, she serves as assistant editor for Glass Poetry and co-founder of Think in Ink and the Women of Color Speak reading series. Her second collection, Unlearning Eden, is forthcoming from White Stag Publishing in 2022. Find more information at calistaray.com. Thank you for closing us down. Calista, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Can everyone hear me okay? So this has been amazing. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, 1455. I am just, I don't know. I feel seen, known, and heard by all of your work. This is actually really ironic because I've been on a book tour and I've been complaining that I haven't felt very seen at a lot of the readings that I've done. And this is one of the first times that I've just felt heard. And I have seen myself in all the pieces. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna completely change up my lineup and wrap this up in a nice little bow. And what I've done is I've chosen poems that have almost responded to each one of your poems. So I'm just gonna read like 4 or 5, and this is just my love letter to y'all. Thank you. This first poem is Body Apology. This one is for Crystal. I'm holding space for you, love to you. This is inspired by a situation that happened to me in Denver. Today, I left a space so white bodies could inhabit more comfortably. Today, I got out of my seat so a white family could sit in my place. Today, I accommodated a white body, no thank you. I am often accommodating. Today, a white family stood behind my table, pressing against my back. I was expected to leave, never asked. I should have planted my Black body instead of being uprooted from my seat like a weed to be plucked. Today, I was an apology. I apologize for my presence and no one says thank you. I apologize for my presence often. I get cut off. I end up apologizing. I am pushed past, walked in front of. Excuse me, no response. Sometimes I go to white spaces, plant myself, just because I know my roots aren't welcome there. I'm going to transition to another piece that was inspired by both Crystal and Shayla. Thank you so much for the work that y'all are doing in the community. Thank you for your activism. Just so inspired tonight and motivated to just go like, right. So this is Mahelia Sings to Freedom. We're starting with poems about oppression, and then we're going to go to sex, body, and desire. And so that's what my whole collection is about navigating the South as a Black woman. This is Mahelia Sings to Freedom. It starts with an epigraph. This is as if Mahalia Jackson and Harriet Tubman were in conversation together. I had crossed the line, I was free, but there was no one to welcome me to the land of freedom. I was a stranger in a strange land. And I am stranger still. Still a face no one recognizes, still an excuse to clutch purse first and ask questions later. Still a reason to shoot, then investigate. Still a reason to attach false crimes to my name. Always a barely human body. And how I arrived here will be a mystery. My captors repeating the same investigation. How I managed to trudge to freedom after traversing this terrain, like bondage is just something I got over. As if a stump, a hill, a broken heart, like I ain't belly crawl and scrape through mud and shit, 1,000 miles tunnels to get here. How did I make it over? My captors will ask and wonder, cock head to side, perplexed at how my cracked skin and wrinkled brow broke free and stumbled on the cover of Currency. And this gentle arrival will be enough to convict me of fleeing captivity. How did I make it over? How does any fugitive arrive? Rope burn still fresh and bleeding, bandage back still raw, sullied and soil covered, and still I made it over. But I never do forget the scars etched in my skin, or the bounty on my head, worth more than the sum of me. Before we wrap up with desire pieces, I want to, this is another love letter to all of you. It's called Into the Woods. I must have wandered into the woods with open palms, stitches gushing, my 20-year-old something wounds advertising there is broken here. All my scar tissue, a magnet for men obsessed with mending, boys that respond to women's cries like an invitation to console and fill me with delusions of grandeur. I was the project for wannabe martyrs that bore the cross of a thief, saviors that get drunk off the wine of women's wailing vulnerability, collecting tears like notches, sonic ears tuned to the pitch of damsels in distress. Because what's a hero without the conquest and crumbling? In this script, he is the lifeguard and I, the drowning thing he comes running to on steed to tower window in hopes of being declared a knight. When most knights are dogs in wolves' clothing, and most dogs are desperate searching for scraps. The test is how fast he arrives at the scene of the burning building, how quickly he pries his claws from around the Red Riding Woman. But what he doesn't know is I store a collection of knives in the pocket of my bruised and fractured frame. Train in the skill of bullshit daggers. I perfect my archery for he who thinks my body is made of straw. And all my mouths have compasses. My hearts have bows and arrows. And I use Prince Charming's cheating ass for target practice. All right, so we're going to close out with the ball poem, Damaris. We're going to read 2 Sex and Desire pieces from Unlearning Eden. Those poems were from Ghost in a Black Girl's Throat. We're going to transition to my forthcoming collection. Love to y'all, so much love. We must connect when all of this craziness is over. I need to be in a room with all of you. So before I go, I'm going to read these last 2 pieces. This first one is a love letter to Monica and Adrian. And so here we go. The body does a praise dance and the ass says, amen. And you never deserve this clap and quake anyway. But while I'm down here, hand me a towel, dab my forehead, catch my sweat, hold my hair back while I bend and shake. Why men always the ones that drool at the rattle and bass drum like a teething toddler? Pick up your jaw, boy, this ain't for you. Never has been. I want to see how low I can bring my body to the ground and deliver it to the sky again. To Dunty whine and roll my hips is to exorcise the demons from the day, to cast out the fuckery by fire in my booty pop and grind. So let me sage this dance floor before the lights come on at 2. Applaud me and tell me I did good. Slide a bill in my G-string and compensate me for all of my pirouettes on the pole and sways into a grand plie. Praise me for the way my booty pop powders the ground with glitter and twirls so fast, it makes you wanna commit to it. All right, we're gonna close out with balls because, you know, why not? Why the hell not? So if we can get to it, it's called The First Time I Called Myself His Girl. And this is actually after Khadijah Queen, but I was so inspired by Adrian said that we're gonna read this piece. The first time I called myself his girl was at one of those parties that smelled like Four Locos, ball, sweat, and pussy. You know, to the windows, to the walls, jam-packed full of sex funk potpourri and blue jean stains on the wall. Still to this day, he brags about that shit like it's an achievement. How the big booty girls would back them up so far into a corner and press hard until their Levi's jeans would leave blue stains on the wall they never could scrub out. And I was left there without being able to compete with the big asses pressing against dicks or how much Hennessy she could swallow during Henny Pong. Because, you know, we never did play beer pong like the white folks. So I gained control the only way I knew how, which was to call myself his girlfriend. To all 3 of his exes that were there, like the title somehow would erase the fact I knew he'd fucked her months ago, and the stain on her and him was left like them damn blue jean stains. And still to this day, I call myself his wife and cringe at the irony of it all. How that night he got so mad I had given myself a title. And I think about all the friction left there in that airless space, how no space was left between her ass and his dick, and how I was left there to watch that, how we'd fucked just days before, and all I wanted was something to call my own. Thank y'all again so much for having me. This has been an honor and a pleasure.
I'll just conclude by saying thank you. I feel like this was one extended mic drop. Absolute pleasure and honor. And no one needs to thank me or 1455. Without this work, the work we do is nothing. The hard work that goes into putting a festival like this together means nothing if people don't show up and represent and share their brilliance. So I thank you. I thank everyone that's out watching tonight. As a reminder, pick up books, support these writers, buy their books, share their books, put it on your social media, support writers, love writers, appreciate writers. That's all I've got. I want us to, let's have a reunion, whether it's virtual or in person, but I beg to hear more of your work. I will read more of your work. I've got homework to do, but a very sincere shout out of gratitude and tremendous thanks for being here. I'm in love with all of you.